we got a great room of guys, and it's been fun really trying to build relationships with that group here in the first couple months of knowing them. And I'm ready to attack the season with them. I think we're a very talented group, and I'm excited to just kind of come in and just tweak a little things, lend my eyes and my ears to them, and I think we're going to do big things.
One of the things that Luke mentioned the other day was like having somebody like yourself that can be fully dedicated to special teams rather than maybe him or Matt. Like, sure. How do you think that focus for you kind of impacts the team as a whole?
Yeah, I think anytime you got a 2-hour block of time and those guys aren't required to be busy as much in inside practice, you got to have some sort of focus, right? We got to drive them to be on task so that there's always something that they can be doing, right? We actually just made a list the other day of just like, hey, I think they were a little shocked of how much there really is we can be working on. And I tell those guys all the time, it's mastering your craft takes 1,000 reps. So even if we only get 3 or 4 reps at something every day, over the course of time, that'll stack on itself, and we'll have hit 1,000 reps and created that muscle memory so that when we are called upon in the moment, that we can execute at a high level.
I think you had 3 guys hit 50-yarders here. Just from your place kicker perspective, what have you seen from that group? What kind of stands out to you about, the guys in that room?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Vekos is obviously super talented. I think he's an NFL leg guy. He didn't probably have the year he wanted to last year. So we're just trying to kind of focus him in, dial him in on some of those specific situational things that maybe he needed to tweak just a little bit. He did a great job on the offseason of focusing in on a specific plan on to how to attack some of those things that he wanted to improve upon. And he did a great job with that. And then we got Johnny Smith, the transfer from Portland State. So he comes in and he's got a real big leg. He gets great height on the ball. He's competing his butt off. He's also going to be in the contention for the kickoff spot. And then a guy named Gavin Lom that's on our team right now that was here before, Coach Vick and his staff got here before I got here. He's got a massive leg. It is just a boomstick. The ball gets up in the air, it jumps off his foot. It almost seems effortless. And obviously he did a lot of kickoff stuff last year. He'll obviously be competing for that job again this year. But those 2 guys, Johnny and Gavin, to me are very similar players. They both have big time legs. Now it's just trying to figure out who's the more accurate and consistent guy on field goals, and then really trying to push Vekos to be the best version of himself.
Is it tough to be patient sometimes as a special teams coach when there's just not as much time, especially in the first couple weeks of camp? I know it turns up later on, but it's trying to find the balance of when we got to be ready to go in, versus when we have some time to just tweak things and work things, right? There's like a different switch that's got to go on and off of like, hey, this is where we're just working on things, and this is where like, hey, we're preparing to actually execute in a Big Ten game in front of 85,000 people. With my background, I've been special teams for a long time, but I also coached offense and defense. So sometimes it's like I want to watch the 7-on-7. I want to watch the inside run periods and the team periods. Plus, I'm also heavily involved in like schematic side of special teams too. So I'm watching and evaluating the other guys on the team. So my job is just making sure that I'm able to see what I need to see, but also keep those guys on task. So it is fun to kind of bounce back and forth, run around, and make sure I'm watching them, keep an eye on them, and get involved with what they need to be doing, and then at times go celebrate and cheer on the other guys on the team and their successes too. So.
And you said Vekos didn't have the year that he wanted last year. When you look back, why do you think that is when you guys go through and break tape?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. I'm not, we talk about, not making excuses and just moving on, especially in that position, right? It's a one-hit mentality, right? You got to move on. So, there's a lot of factors that could come into play for those situations. Being a right-footed kicker, sometimes on the hard right hash, those are a little bit tricky just based on the angle to the middle of the pipes. And so just working on little things like that where it's like, okay, I'm in this situation and I know these are usually the challenging ones for a right-footed kicker. How am I going to, solve that problem essentially? And he's done a really good job of just coming up with a plan for himself. And, my job is really just kind of keep him guided, keep him focused in that direction. And he's had a heck of a camp so far, and some of these big time hits you're seeing are the ones that maybe were challenges for him in the past, and he's executing out here. So we got to keep that consistency up so that when we get into the game day situations, it's just automatic.
How has Tretch separated himself in the punt return game?
Yeah, I think, as you guys know, Tretch is super twitchy and super elusive. We're working on him and just making sure he catches the ball cleanly every time, but
I think when you get the ball in his hands, it's just another opportunity for him to do what he does, and that's really exciting. It's lightning in a bottle, isn't it? It's fun to watch. We want him out there catching the ball and going, and hopefully we can create some space for him to get those opportunities to go. But we feel real good about a couple guys on our roster. Vinny Anthony does a really good job back there. He's a veteran. He catches the ball really well. And then Tyrell Henry, the transfer from Michigan State, does a really good job too. He's effortless in his attempts to catch the ball. He's clean, it's smooth, it seems natural for him, and he's got a really good feel for just stretching and puncturing and getting vertical early. So he does a really good job. I'm really excited about the fact that we've got options back there. That's super awesome.
What about Atticus and where he's taken a jump from last year, and where you think he needed to take a jump from last year?
Yeah, well, he's a freshman Australian guy, right? He's coming over. Everything's new to him, right? Just trying to figure out this game of college football, and that's not excuses. We don't make excuses, and he came in as a freshman and was put in that situation. He has to perform. I know, again, similar to Nathaniel, he probably had some results that he wasn't super fired up about that kind of led to some team results in terms of net punt and all that stuff that wasn't what we want and not up to the standard. And so we've been working on some things, just him and I sitting down and kind of looking at, his drops and all the things that he can do to improve. And it's marginal things, right? It's little things at that position that make the big differences. He's grown tremendously too. I give him a ton of credit. Just like Nathaniel, we kind of left spring ball with a plan of attack. Like, hey, these are the things that we're seeing. These are the areas at which I think we can make improvements, and then go ahead and go find ways to execute and finish it. So he's done a really good job. He's had a really good camp so far. He's hitting the heck out of the ball. I don't know if you guys were here yesterday. He was crushing the ball. So I'm really excited about where he's at. Now it's about making sure that day in and day out he's being as consistent as he possibly can, building those habits, making sure it's muscle memory, 1,000 reps on drops, footwork, all those things, so that come Saturdays in the fall, we're ready to go and he can hit consistent footballs to help us win Big Ten games.
You mentioned how long your career in special teams has been. How did that kind of become a niche for you as you went along in your coaching career?
Sure. Well, I was backup tight end. Backup tight ends usually play a lot of special teams. Then I got into coaching right away after college, and it just kind of been one of those things where I cared about it as a player, so I care about it as a coach. And just over my career, I've had an opportunity to be involved in special teams at the lower levels, NAI level, Division III, Division II level. Then got an opportunity to go be an analyst at Utah State, then on to Penn State. So it just seemed to be kind of the path. Everyone's path and journey is different. Do I love offense and defensive football? Of course I do. Would I love to get my hands back in those pots at some point? Of course. But I love special teams. I have a burning passion for it, and I think the guys recognize that. I hope the staff recognizes that. It's just how much it means to me. And obviously, with this place, Wisconsin, I'm from here, so this place is special for me. Like, I care so much about Wisconsin football and making sure that we're putting the best product on the field we possibly can. That's important. So I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to work with these guys, and yeah.
How did Europe happen? Because I know sometimes at Division III they're looking for those types of guys. Just how did Europe kind of come on the radar for you?
Yeah, so I got to Europe. One of my mentors, Stacy Collins, I worked for him when he was the head coach at Division II school, South Dakota School of Mines, and he had been over there as a younger coach himself. So I remember I was a young coach. I wasn't married at the time, and I said to him, like, hey, I would love to go over there if you ever know anything. And it was just, it's one of those weird universe things that I said it out loud, and then literally 7 days later, someone called him and said, hey, we need a defensive coordinator. So got an opportunity to move to Switzerland to be the defensive coordinator, and I ran the special teams there, and lived in a little town called Chur, Switzerland, which is beautiful in the mountains. It's unreal. I spent about 8 months over there, and we actually won the Swiss National Championship. We went 15-1. They have this big tournament called the Euro Bowl where you play against other countries, and we lost in the semis there, but we won the national championship of Switzerland. It was an awesome experience. And
then you were head coach next year, right?
Well, once you're over there once, your name kind of gets floated around, and then Oslo Vikings had called and asked if I'd be interested, and did some interviews with those guys, and it just worked out. I worked out timing-wise for me to take another trip over, and I got the head coaching job in Oslo, and that was a super fun experience working with the Vikings over there. And I wouldn't trade those 2 years for the world, obviously. And then it just kind of sets you up for, hey, now I know I can come back, get a wife and kids, and now we're into the coaching career here. So that was a great experience. Happy I did it.